Welcome to Sagas, a channel where we science the shit out of our favorite anime, games, and all sorts of other stuff. I'm Eaker, your host for today, and I'm pleased to say that we are bringing you another Dragon Ball Legends video. Today I want to unleash our collective geek minds on giving out more tips and tricks that are going to help us all get better and have more fun. But before we get started, you know what's coming. It's time for the drop. Hit it. In a previous video, we learned about the combat loop and how it is, or should be, the goal of every Legends player to be able to execute it. We learned about ways to bait your opponent to use their vanish, or protect your own with the lean back tech. We also learned how to extend combos with dash step and shoulder jerk. Then we discussed a surefire way to finish them off with a rising rush that can't miss. Videos in the description below. So what else is there to talk about? Am I right? Game over. No, I'm not right. This game is constantly evolving, and so should its players, so today we will be discussing how to elevate your game even further. But before we get into the specific tech, we need to understand the general mechanic within Legends that, at its core, I'm sure all of you know, because it is going to be essential to understanding the tips that follow. The system is the Q system. And the easiest example of the Q system is when you select an arts card and then immediately select another. The second card is highlighted but not used, and your character begins to execute these two commands in some order. This isn't the end of the Q system's usefulness either. We've already seen the power it contains when using the various slide techs, since the timing of these windows are usually so tight that players queue up dashes, slides, and art cards to finesse these very tight windows. So far, this is nothing revolutionary or even terribly interesting. Am I right? No, wrong again. You guys really do fall for everything. We gotta work on this. Anyways, these basic systems are the foundations of all advanced tech. For example, as we discussed earlier, the now infamous dash tech combines a deep understanding of the rules around which movements stop regeneration of meters and draw cards with a precise understanding and use of the Q system to maximize time before the opponent recovers from the stagger. When these things combine, they created a pretty powerful tech that changed the game. So let's see if we can't do that again. Tip number 1, the tap bait Q. The easiest first. Have you ever baited someone only to have them counter you with tap strikes or manage to sneak in their own strike art card first? What a terrible feeling to have them fall into your bait but still get you with a combo. This tip may help with that. However, this one's a bit risky because if your opponent doesn't fall for the bait, he will punish you. So I suggest only using this when you see someone kind of sliding around fidgeting because they're nervous or because you're playing them real close. Something that I like to do to make people nervous is kind of play them up close. But the reason you might want to do this is because a truly savvy player who falls for bait can still get out of your counter by tap striking, switch vanishing, things like that as well. But if we use our old friend the Q system, by tapping our screen to initiate a tap key bait and immediately followed up with a strike arts card, you now get priority over your opponent's counter after they vanish. This can be punishing against certain players, but against really good players, you won't get them more than once, at least not more than likely. But if you do, you won't ever get them to fall for it again, so make sure you proceed with caution. Which brings us to tip number 2, the Rising Rush backup plan. If the above system works, why can't we queue up an attack after our Rising Rush? That way, if it fails, we at least get priority on the next attack, right? You can and you should. Quite frankly, and contrary to popular opinion, Rising Rush isn't always desirable, and when both parties are low health, it can be a liability if you lose the card call, so what if you want to whiff on purpose? Hear me out here. People will always dodge out of a rush if they can. It's just natural. So imagine it's endgame, both heroes are red barred and you have a rush going on, but you're really nervous about using it, so you decide to do something a little risky, a little unorthodox, and you're going to try to hit him with the Rising Rush and hope you don't lose the call. Because if you do, you're dead. So you decide, what I'm going to do is I'm going to let him get his vanish up, and then I'm going to rush. He's going to go ahead and dodge that, he's going to vanish step that, and once he does that, something interesting is going to happen. Before he can even counter you, which he's going to think he can, you're going to already be punching him in the face for the win. So how do you do it? The same as the previous tip, with a slightly different window of opportunity. As seen on your screen at the moment, when you select the Rising Rush, your cards will leave the screen, and the animation begins. But just wait a second, because there's going to be a brief window, a brief flash where the cards reappear right before disappearing again. It's that window where you can quickly select the next card. It's in this window where if you queue up the follow-up attack, you've essentially created a backup plan that can't fail. You're at least going to have one of two things happen. You're going to hit them with the Rising Rush because they didn't vanish, or they did vanish and a combo begins. Not a bad plan B, am I right? Tip number 3, the Unavoidable special. Now this brings us to our last tip, chaining medium to short range moves within a combo. Normally to use 17 or Krillin's blue card mid-combo, you're going to need to stop the combo, dash forward. This dash forward is usually about 2 tiles. Once you do this, you need to quickly hit the card and hope that your opponent doesn't tap you back. Because as you can see here, even though your opponent can't vanish due to the 360-degree nature of these abilities, because you've moved up those 2 tiles, you're now in tap melee range. And since tap melee is one of the fastest abilities in the game to actually cast, and these blues are one of the slowest, they'll get priority. This resets your combo, wastes your ki, and just is all around discouraging. So how can we now, armed with this new understanding of the Q system and the priority of different moves, deliver an unavoidable special attack to our opponent? Here's what we're going to do. Immediately after using our strike or ki blast card, we're going to queue up a special move. That's the blue card. So that it's highlighted as we discussed in our intro. Pretty basic so far. But what we're going to do is we're actually going to queue in as well some dash forwards. Now this series of dash forwards is important because even though we're doing it third, the Q system isn't always first in, first out. So what's going to happen actually is it's going to play out like this. We're going to first do our strike card, and before our character recovers, we're going to actually dash forward even though we didn't do it in that order. And we're going to dash forward by the amount of 1 tile. 1 tile is important because it's within range of this special, but it's not within range of a tap melee. So once we've dashed forward and we're in range, the system's automatically going to cast, and this is going to look fluid, just like a regular combo, automatically cast that blue spell, allowing us to hit them with those devastating specials. This means that the whole thing is going to happen so fast that not only can't the opponent back up out of range, because they're still going to be staggered, but that this ability truly is going to be an unavoidable attack. Bonus tech, ki cancel. Now that you see the power of the Q system and how it can be used to your advantage, let me hit you with some next level the ki cancel. Currently, you can cancel out of your own strike cards with ease. You're going to see that on your screen now. You just swipe left right in the middle of it, and sometimes people fall for the bait, sometimes they don't. People generally will use this bait to kind of get their opponents out of their vanish, usually at long distances, but it's honestly less effective at long distances. So how can we use the Q system to initiate combat against turtles who just want to lean back in a different way than, say, that strike cancel? Why can't we ki cancel? Well, on the surface, it doesn't seem possible, but it is. So let's talk about how to do this technique. This technique involves a ki blast, which during the middle of the animation, the person using the card needs to place a dash forward in the queue, and then follow it immediately up with a vanish step. Since this sequence is no different from the dash tech combo up to the point where you dash forward, there's no reason not to at least set it up every time in case you need to quickly vanish or decide to bait someone. In effect, this tech has got an opportunity cost of 0. Unlike a lot of the other things on this list that penalize you for trying and failing, there's no real risk here, so why not do this? This technique is just another tool for people to use when trying to lure those turtles out of their shells, and I can tell you firsthand, it's not fun when somebody plays so defensively. So why not arm ourselves with more abilities to bait them out of those defensive positions? Now, that'll do it for today's video, and if you enjoyed the content, not only will I ask you to Miami smash that subscribe button and comment below, but go ahead and share this video because these videos take a long time to come together, and it would just be even more worth doing if they are seen by more and more people. I really do appreciate all your support. Honestly, I'm flabbergasted at all the support I've gotten the last couple days, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Otherwise, thanks for watching. We'll be back soon, and yeah, good luck out there.